Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, I'm covering the Battle of the Wrathgate and the Battle for the Undercity from Chronicle Volume 3. So let's go! Now that Malygos was taken care of, both the Alliance and the Horde could get back to doing what they'd gone to Northrend to do in the first place. And in a weird twist of events, these two factions that hate each other were almost working together in perfect synergy. They realised that a victory for one faction was beneficial to everyone. So whilst Bolvar Fourdragon and his Alliance forces would attack the undead, Dranosh Sourfang would coincidentally order his own forces to draw the Scourge's attention on another front, or vice versa. This even led to a little bit of mutual respect between these two commanders. Eventually, the efforts of the Horde and Alliance culminated in the meeting at the southern entrance of Icecrown, Angrathar the Wrathgate. Once it was secured, the plan was to mount an offensive against Icecrown Citadel itself. But the Lich King's defences were formidable, and this was going to be one hell of a fight. Neither Bolvar nor Dranosh were about to let the other take all the glory, so when the day finally came to assault the Wrathgate, both sides' armies gathered on the field of battle, and found themselves face to face with the biggest Scourge army they'd ever seen. However, the combined might of Azeroth's defenders caused the Scourge lines to buckle. Bolvar and Dranosh slowly carved their way through until they reached the foot of the Wrathgate, and victory seemed within reach. And once again, the Lich King was a little bit annoyed. His plan to convert Horde and Alliance champions was only going to work if both factions were war-weary and bloody knackered by the time they arrived at the Frozen Throne. If they keep winning battles and stuff, they'll be brimming with confidence, and that's just not on. So he decided if you want something done properly, you've got to do it yourself, and he emerged at the Wrathgate to join the fight. Just seeing him caused the Alliance and Horde armies to falter a little bit. He was a frightening bloke, but they refused to run away like pussies and held their lines. If the battle had been allowed to reach its conclusion, the Lich King may have even been defeated that day. But some bitch wasn't going to let that happen. Out of nowhere, a whole bunch of plague canisters rained down on all armies from a rise overlooking the Wrathgate, and a lethal green fog capable of killing both the living and undead filled the air. The Lich King immediately realised what the bloody hell was going on, and so he cheesed it. Everyone else left on the battlefield was seemingly killed. Bolvar Fourdragon and almost 5,000 Alliance soldiers, and Dranosh Sourfang and over 4,000 loyal Horde followers. Except, like Star Wars, nobody's ever really gone. Which irritates the shit out of me. The plague would have spread across the entire region if it weren't for the actions of the Red Dragonflight. Alexstrasza and her mates descended from the skies and purified the land with enchanted fire. The Guardian of Life went ahead and burnt everyone to a crisp, but in her defence, they couldn't be saved. When the smoke cleared, Dranosh and Bolvar's bodies were missing. What a bloody mystery! Both factions were angry as by what had transpired at the Wrathgate, and it was pretty obvious who was responsible for it. The Forsaken. One, because only they could create such a weapon, and two, because they were up on the rise overlooking the battlefield yelling stuff like, "We're definitely the Forsaken, in case you were thinking we weren't." It was time for some goddamn vengeance. Warchief Thrall sent a summons to Sylvanas Windrunner, but she was already on her way to meet him. She informed the Warchief that she'd had to cheese it from her home because a bunch of traitors and demons had attempted a coup. The Dreadlord Varamathras, who everyone had weirdly assumed wasn't a scheming demon, ended up being a scheming demon. He'd convinced a gifted alchemist, Grand Apothecary Buttress, that the Burning Legion would offer him more rewards than the Banshee Queen. Together, they created a new plague of undeath, one capable of slaying the living and the Scourge, and perhaps even the Lich King himself. And Thrall believed all of that bollocks, but before they could finalise their plan for a counterattack, Jaina Proudmoore appeared. King Varian Wrynn was a bit furious and blamed the Horde for the loss at the Wrathgate, and Jaina was determined to ensure the truth prevailed. So she was like, "Give me a reason to stop the king from doing something drastic, will you?" Sylvanas explained the situation again and promised she would eradicate the traitors responsible. So Jaina took this news to Varian, and he was the only person that seemed to have a little bit of suspicion about Sylvanas' explanation. But whether she was lying or not didn't matter too much to him now, because there was an opportunity afoot. The Horde had lost control of the Undercity. Perhaps it was time for the Alliance to reclaim Lordaeron. So both factions launched separate offensives against the Undercity. The Horde, led by Thrall and Sylvanas, targeted Varamathras, and the Alliance invasion, led by Varian, head through the sewers in search of Buttress. Both missions were successful. The Dreadlord and the Alchemist died for their treachery. But that wasn't enough for Varian. Full of beans and rage, he marched into the Undercity throne room and drew his blade to confront Thrall. No matter who was responsible for the attack at the Wrathgate, Varian bloody hated the Horde. As far as he was concerned, the world would be a better place without it. And right in front of everyone, he declared war. Tensions were now at an all-time high, and there could have been a battle with very real and lasting consequences, right then and there, if not for Jaina Proudmoore. She used her magics to subdue everyone, and teleported the Alliance forces out of the Undercity. So maybe the next time Horde players start bitching about Jaina, they show a bit of goddamn respect instead. Although full-scale war had been temporarily averted, the cycle of hatred would still continue between the Horde and Alliance, because that's how World of Warcraft works. But before we end today's video, let's talk a little bit more about Sylvanas and her role in the Wrathgate incident. Her account of what happened wasn't a complete load of crap. Buttress had attempted to overthrow her, and Varimathras was trying to claim the Forsaken in the name of the Burning Legion. But the plague had been created because she ordered it. She was willing to get revenge against the Lich King no matter the cost, even if it meant basically being as evil as he was. Chronicle does make a point of noting that whether she was aware that Buttress and Varimathras were going to use the plague remains a mystery. There are rumours that she had advanced knowledge of the attack at the Wrathgate, but who wants to believe rumours, am I right? But seriously, she's a bitch. And we're leaving it there! In the next Volume 3 video, we'll look at the secrets of Ulduar, which is going to pay off something that was set up bloody ages ago, involving the Ancient Keepers, and Yogg-Saron, and all of that stuff. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks, and all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!